With Dragonflight Season 4 on the horizon, and the return of sort of a faded season where we revisit all the raids and presumably the dungeons from the course of Dragonflight, I thought it'd be a fun little thing to take a look back at what items have been good for Havoc and what will probably be a good idea to pick up with what we assume is coming back with the dinar system in Season 4. So, with that out of the way, make sure you like the video, comment, subscribe, and let's get into it. So I think a big thing just to throw out of there right now is that this is a lot of like a speculation video, right? We don't really know what's happening in Season 4. They haven't, as of the time I'm making this, which is Thursday, January 25th. So if news comes out tomorrow about Season 4 and this is all wrong, I guess no one's going to see this video anyways. But we are assuming that Season 4 of Dragonflight is going to be pretty similar to Season 4. Yeah, it was 4 of Shadowlands, where we kind of just did all the bosses, all the raids again, and then they redid all the dungeons. Well, I guess those dungeons were different, but they brought like different old dungeons. But I'm assuming this time we're going to do the Dragonflight dungeons again, maybe with a twist, who knows. So I figured it'd be kind of a fun little exercise to just look back through and just look at kind of the high priority items that happened over the course of Dragonflight, right? Back in Shadowlands Season 4, we had Dinar, which was a really good system. There were 3 of them, and they let you kind of buy whatever you wanted to. So today I figured, well, if Dinar is potentially coming back, what would Havoc probably spend the Dinar on? And there's a lot of interesting items, more so in the raid, less so in the dungeons, but I think that's probably like a better way to do it anyways. So, out of the way, let's dive into it. So we're gonna start off with a Vault of the Incarnates, and I'll try and throw up some B-roll like raid footage or whatever of the different raids as I'm going along here. But there's actually a few interesting things involved in the Incarnates, and we're going to scroll down and talk about the very rare items first, because I think all of these are really good. Very rare items were interesting. They're introduced this expansion as like items that drop a lot less common from bosses, that are at a higher eye level, that have strong effects, basically to make farm interesting. Sorry, my cat's over there. But basically to make farm interesting and to keep bosses kind of, you know, exciting as you did them. Now there's drawbacks to that, as the drop rate was super low. I never even got a mythic ring, which is, you know, bad by itself, but all these things are very powerful. Now, realistically speaking, these rings are super strong. I think Seal of Generous Chosen is going to be used still. They nerfed it by 25%, and it still was almost better than every single ring in Season 2 after we got it in Season 1. So this coming from the first boss is going to be a pretty easy just thing to pick up. The other one coming from Broodkeeper, which is the 7th boss of that raid. It's like a shield, which is less good, but the stats are also a little bit worse. Mastery is good, of course, but the shield's really good. So, you know, fun stuff there. And then finally, the trinket, Whispering Incarnate Icon, is also just insanely strong. Gives you a large amount of crit, and also just gives you either, I think it's Verse and Haste, I think, are the other 2. I don't remember. I think Earth is Verse. You get other stats as well, which is just crazy strong with it. So kind of hard to see this not being good, but there are other kind of interesting items that can fight against this, right? We're going to get another either 26 or 39 eye level bump. I mean, secondaries will lose a lot of value because we just have so many of them. So we'll see if this ends up being good, but this being very rare and it being so powerful in the first place really means it could be really good. So there's one more item I want to touch on from Season 1 and the raid, and that's going to be Manic Grief Torch. This is crazy, otherwise known as the Guzzler. This is really just a crazy strong trinket. I know 246,000 fire damage doesn't seem like a lot, but the way it works is that this actually does multiple ticks of damage, which makes Know Your Enemy even more powerful, because on average you'll crit more often with this. You know, it takes the magic damage, it takes Verse. And on top of that, every time a player dies, you basically just get to use this again, which is really good for prog, sometimes for farm if someone messes up. This trinket is just incredibly strong. It at like less eye level with a shorter like cooldown is like, I think, better than like a beacon was, and they nerfed beacon. Also, if you hear sound, sorry, it's my cat again. I think Grief Torch is going to be really good. We'll see when Sims come out. We'll see when all that happens, but this is a crazy trinket to keep your eyes on. Boon is also interesting. It does a ton of AoE damage, but you're rooted and can die easily. So if you want to kind of risk this in AoE and M+, and like just pop it and then Netherwalk, you can do a ton of damage. It was like broken in PTR, but could also be very good. These 2 for Havoc, not very good. All right, moving on to Abberus, the second raid of the expansion. Honestly, a little less exciting about this one. There's no real fun like jewelry slots or anything here. There's a cloak, which we'll touch on in a second. That's kind of troll. These very rare trinkets don't really matter to us. The only thing that might end up being good is Bomb Dispenser as kind of like an active / passive. It just does pretty good damage, realistically. We'll see though. Anvil's also a very strong trinket, just in single target as like a passive, so to speak. But just compared to some of the other stuff we're getting, I'm not sure if these will end up beating them out. They're both very powerful, of course, but you know, it's gonna be like, oh, does this sim better kind of thing. But the bright side is that, you know, there's a lot of different options from each raid that can end up having them work out pretty well. Moving down to Ominous, not very good. I think Idol is better, and then Beacon is just nerfed and was never great to begin with. It has Mastery. The damage is not very high. It's a weird cooldown. Was never great to begin with. Just a worse guzzler. So realistically, I think only these two. There is a cloak, which will technically be part of our Abyss if I can find it. Where's back? Voice of the Silent Star. Now, you don't have stamina on this, so you are losing a lot of HP. It's like 30k when this was around. It'll be more so whenever the thing comes out. For an effect that realistically doesn't actually proc whenever you want it to. That being said, though, on a season where who cares about prog, it's all about just kind of parsing because all the fights we've done already. This will be good. It'll be a lot of damage, but I'm not sure this is ever really worth it to pick up because it's like not that big of a deal compared to other things. All right, and finally, we're on the current raid, Amirdrassil. I don't really need to walk through this one too much. There's obviously good trinkets like Ashes for M+. This is going to be probably our best Mythic Plus trinket. Maybe Guzzler is good. But Ashes is just really good right now. There's not a lot of 2-minute trinkets from dungeons if we're going off a dungeon pool, which I'll touch on after. So this is probably gonna be just the best option there. Signet Brand is gonna be insane in single target still, as long as the fights are long enough. However, if they're not long enough, I could see Augury maybe being good in raid. And Pips is gonna be a really good passive if you can't get Idol. I do think Idol will end up being a bit better in Mythic Plus. So obviously people know these ones already. Ashes for Mythic Plus is gonna be a lock because there's no other good 2-minute trinkets. Cataclysm Signet Brand is probably gonna be pretty good in single target, just does a lot of damage. We'll see when the other ones are scaled up in eye level how they compare. Pips could be a good alternative to Idol, though I do just find it hard to believe Idol can be beaten. It's just so crazy strong if everybody has an Idol. And then Augury is maybe a good single target option if you can't get the other ones, but I'm not sure this will be that good either. It's currently like good, but not insane for Havoc. I guess it's like our second or third best single target trinket, but hard to believe that. I think Guzzler will end up just being better. But again, we'll see. So those are kind of the raid options. Not a ton. Obviously, there's the weapon. You're going to want one of them probably. Let me find weapons. Main hand. There's Thorncaller's Claw. You're going to want one of them. It's good right now. It'll be good then. There's no other real special weapons for Havoc besides Double Time, which I assume is coming back. So probably a Claw, but honestly, that's so easy to pick up. I wouldn't really, wouldn't really worry about it. All right, so I do want to touch on Mythic Plus quickly. Now, I'm not too impressed by the dungeon pool, just compared to the raid stuff, which has kind of just been the theme all expansion. That being said, there's a few things we don't know. We're not sure what's coming back. I'm assuming it's all the Dragonflight dungeons, just because that would make sense. We've only seen them once, but we'll see. It's possible some of these don't come back. This would be 10 dungeons, which is a lot. But it's possible some of them don't come back, possible they do other things, but I'm just going to assume it's from the 10 Dragonflight dungeons, and there's really not a lot. Now, the best thing you can get here is Double Time, if that comes back. Obviously, everyone knows Double Time, it's in the pool right now. It's just 1% free damage, plus a full static weapon that's really good. You want 1 for raid, 2 for Mythic Plus, it's insanely strong. In terms of trinkets, Sandglass is okay, I guess, and Mirror's fine. But there's not really any good 2-minute trinkets from Mythic Plus. If we take a look through everything, Puzzle Box was nerfed. Its duration, it being long, is fine. But it being a 3-minute trinket just doesn't really line up with our burst anymore. So I'm not really sure if that will end up being that valuable, especially when there's like something like Ashes, which perfectly lines up with our burst and just does a ton of damage. There's also something like Iridius Fragment, which is like a similar thing. It's a 3-minute trinket that gives you mastery that doesn't really line up with our burst anymore. And outside of that, there's not really anything that good. All these other trinkets aren't really strong at all. They're all kind of like subpar. This will be okay for Vengeance, I guess. And then there's also the weapon from this dungeon, Storm Slash, which also just is worse than Time Strike and worse than the Thorncaller's Claw, I'm pretty sure anyways. I'm assuming it's worse, but it wasn't great in 10.0. Its stats are pretty bad, and the proc is just not very good either. So I don't really expect this to be that good. It's kind of a season, at least from what I've seen. I might be forgetting something, but I don't think there's any like special jewelry or anything like that in these dungeons. There's like the leech pants from Galakron's Fall, but we want that for tier, right? And if you catalyze the tier, you lose the leech on them. So nothing really that exciting from Mythic Plus in terms of like special gear, which I guess is fine. You know, obviously they want people to raid, but yeah, not a lot to be really farming for, unlike this tier where there's like 4 or 5 different things. Not many good passives. The best one is probably Sandglass, if that stays around. The best active is probably Puzzle Box or Mirror or this one, but again, they're all 3 minutes, so they're not very good. So just kind of in a weird spot. So you're probably going to want to prioritize raid stuff because each raid has good things. Grief Torch, Icon, both rings are really good there. We go to Abberus. There's really good trinkets in the form of, not Beacon, but Bomb Dispenser, Anvil. There's the Cloak, Voice Sound Star. We go to the current raid. You know, everyone knows the current stuff, right? There's strong stuff like Ashes, which is like a must in Mythic Plus. Signet Brand, Friendship Badge, Primal Frame, Augury Trinket. There's a lot of good stuff. Oh, and even not even looking at like the hidden raid chart, which is really good for survivability. So a lot of good stuff in the raid, not much good stuff in dungeons. But that's going to be kind of the look here. Also, my cat just showed up. It's Goose. Hello, little Goosey. So that's kind of going to be it for the video today. Just a quick little talk, just a little chat. Just kind of see what could be fun, what could be around the corner, and what's kind of stuff to be excited for and chase in Season 4. Now, obviously, whenever Season 4 news is announced, we will end up talking about it. I'll cover something on the channel, and I'll have like a guide out. I don't expect Havoc playstyle to change much, but I'll do like a deeper guide into all the gear you want to get and stuff like that. So with that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Happy Tuesday, I think this is. And yeah, thanks everyone sticking around. Make sure you like the video, subscribe, and comment down below. We are so close to 10K. We're like 500 subs or less away now, which is insane. Thank you all so much. And yeah, so that's gonna be it for me today. I'm gonna grab my cat one more time to say goodbye. Here's Goose. And signing off, bye-bye. A big thank you to all my channel members. Thank you Sky Elk, Fede Gregori, Andrew Kino, Guillermo Lamas, Period, Brad Wisniak, It's Bulk, Magic Man 133, and Howley. Thank you all so much. You guys are amazing, and I really appreciate the extra support. If you guys want to support me, consider becoming a channel member below to get access to exclusive videos and some emotes to use in comments and stuff, as well as a special part of my Discord. So thank you all so much. I really appreciate it, everybody, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.